Welcome to Blackboard. Just a disclaimer, I try to update these videos every few years, but if I make small changes to the Blackboard, I'm not going to redo the entire video. So if something doesn't look exactly the same, just peek around. Second disclaimer is that I try to make this course as easy to find things as possible, and that means I put a lot of things in multiple places, but I think that confuses students at first. A lot of students tell me the first week or so, they say, I can't find anything, I don't know where things are, this is so overwhelming. And then by the end of the course, they say, I really like how organized everything was. Once I figured it out, it was easy. So for me, that's a little tough because I don't know how to improve things when people end by saying, when people start by saying everything's confusing and end by saying everything's easy. The best I can tell you is to dedicate 10 or 20 minutes to just poking around the website. Click different things, see where it leads. So you always open up into the announcements page. Most announcements also get emailed out, but this is a good place to look for things. Getting started, especially if this is your very first time using Blackboard, this is a great place to go to kind of get a sense of how to use it. Course information, syllabus, and here I have the syllabus. It's taking a minute to load, but it's here. The Google Doc is actually embedded in here. The nice thing is, when I make a change to the syllabus, it automatically updates here. So it's always updated for your current semester, and if I need, let's say I change my office hours, it's going to automatically show up here correctly. Or for example, one semester, partway through the semester, I revised my late policy to say, okay, if you do a late discussion board, I'll at least give you some credit for responding to other people. Because in this course, my overall policy is that nothing's accepted late. So all of that stuff would show up right in here. Obviously the late policy, this I would have to change by hand. Instructor information. Email is usually the best way to get a hold of me, but it takes me up to 2 days. For online classes especially, I try to respond more like 24 hours, but particularly if you email me late at night or on a weekend, it's going to take a little bit to hear back from me. If there is an emergency, you can call my office phone, which typically forwards to my cell phone. If you call once, I'm going to think that you're selling me some sort of extended warranty on my car. I'm probably not going to pick up if I'm not expecting it. But if you call me 2 or 3 times in a row, I'm going to say, okay, this is probably somebody who really needs something. Or if you leave me a voicemail, I will call you back. My office is in Visalia 149, and then these are my office hours. This is for spring of 2021. If it is not spring of 2021, go check because it changes every semester based on my course schedule. I usually try to target times when there's no courses running so that I know most students are going to be free. I try to pick different days and times, but if they don't work for you, just email me to ask. And also sometimes in the middle of the semester, I realize it's not working and I may change them. Or if I have a conflict one week, I might be able to reschedule that office hour. So the best way to find my office hours are always right here, which actually, instead of copying and pasting this link, you can just hit the next piece, which is Meet with Dr. Parikh. And so it'll automatically go. It's going to want to know which account I'm using. So you can, yeah, I'll just use this one. I think that'll be fine for this week. Sorry, I know this is thrilling video. So it's important to recognize whatever email you're signed in with is the one that it will use. I don't use Chrome very often, so that's why it looks like this. So you can see earlier in the week there were office hour appointments, and then it shows your calendar in the background. To send you a Google Meet link, I'm always going to add your school email if you signed up from a different email, but just be aware with Gmail accounts. Notice, and it'll show you up in the corner here which account you're using. My grades, this is where you'll see how you did on assignments. It's difficult to show you a lot of the things you can do from my view because I have instructor credentials. But this is where you can look, you can check to see if there's a little comment bubble, but I use rubrics pretty heavily. So even if you don't see that there are comments written, if you have lost even a tiny fraction of a point, click and look at the rubric to see where the problem is. Because early assignments are worth very few points, and the penalties are scaled to be very, very minor. But these penalties will lose you more and more points as you go through the semester. Calendar. This is possibly the most important piece here in Blackboard, because this is the only space where all the due dates are clearly listed. Let me click off some of these other, just so we can focus on our calendar. So I typically try to spread things out. I used to have everything on Wednesdays and Sundays. Students told me that was overwhelming, so I've spread it out. Remember, you can always do things early. There are some assignments where you need feedback from me before you move on. I usually space those at about a week apart from each other to give myself a day or two to respond. Particularly, I teach all day on Thursday, so Wednesday night assignments probably aren't going to get graded until Friday, typically. But Mondays, usually I can tackle whatever's been turned in Monday morning. So the Blackboard is the most reliable, because the other thing is sometimes I will need to change an assignment. If I do, I'll often send out an email to let you know and let you know why. I would only change it to make the due date later, never earlier. Even if it was a mistake, usually once a student has seen the due date being later, I will honor that. Speaking of which, if you ever see conflicting, like one place says that something's due on Wednesday and somewhere else says it's due on Thursday, please, please, please take screenshots and send them to me as soon as possible so that I can clarify. I think I've taken out a lot of the places I used to cross-post days of the week and due dates because I realized it just created a lot of opportunities for confusion. But if you still see something that does that. So here, these are the modules. This is where you actually, can access the week by week. And I have linked here on top of the weekly modules list and also down here under course content. And, oh, maybe I just did that in my other courses and haven't done it yet. In one of my other sections, I have it so that, and I may add it here so that the weekly to-do list shows up here at the bottom. And I think I had something else that showed up down there too. So each unit is going to tell you kind of what we are focused on, what the purpose of this unit is. And it's really just, for this course, it's walking through the different steps of writing a paper and building basic skills. So units and readings and resources, for each unit, this is pretty straightforward. And again, I try to keep it really easy to update so that if I swap something out, it's pretty seamless, because when I have to update each one individually, it doesn't always go well. You may notice that your weekly to-do list looks slightly different. Like I'm hoping, all of this pink highlighted stuff is telling me stuff like this video that needs to be redone. You can see links to everything you need to read. And so this is just this is the weekly to-do list, just linked in here. And then you can follow bookmarks to each link or to each module. And then down here is, so I may, if I do end up using some things that are linked, say, through the library, I might have to put those separately, but as long as I have stuff through YouTube, I can just link everything in here. And again, I can swap out videos and it's all immediately updated, which I really like. If you would rather have a history showing what you've watched and haven't watched, you can click here, go into your own YouTube profile, make sure you're signed in whatever profile you want to keep track on, and it'll show up in your history then. So you can swap through, and but right in here, it has a lot of the controls that YouTube usually has. You can you can turn on subtitles. You can speed things up or slow things down depending on whether I'm talking too fast or too slow for you and what you want to do. So within each module, so there's the focus, the readings and resources, and then there's the learning activities. these are not full descriptions, they are links. And for now, I may take these out, but for now I've put days of the week headers. I used to put the day of the week in the assignment, but again, if I changed something for any reason, it made a lot of places that I had to update it. I still do have the point values there because those change more rarely. And so when you click a link, it will take you right to wherever it is. So this is, oh, the downside here is that for the discussion board, it takes you right to the place to post instead of to, That's funky. So discussion board, you may have to just go straight to the board. If you hit discussion board, you will see, and I will hopefully, if you don't see your name on your list, on the list in your section, that means I haven't updated it yet. Send me an email to remind me. But to cut down on the workload, you're going to really interact with one smaller group with about a third of the class. And so those are the people whose posts you're expected to read and respond to. You can read and respond to anyone else's posts, but this is my goal here really is to keep things a little more manageable, because reading, it's a third of the amount of things to read each time. So it cuts down on your time commitment. It right sizes it for what I want you to do. And also I think it creates a smaller group of people to build relationships with. So I think that network of support is really important. And so you do all these things, and I show you what I do down here. And then you post at least one photo of yourself. And then for a bonus, add a profile picture. You can see I have a little profile picture up here in Blackboard. And also for an ongoing bonus, every time you use the group name, work with your group members to choose a group name. And actually, I may edit this text because I want to specify. Often students will do we're in psychology, let's be the psychos. And when you think about what you're doing there, it is kind of adding to the stigma. Not kind of, it adds to the stigma. That may not be your intention, but things like the crazy whatevers or the psychos, it stigmatizes mental health. But outside of that, I love puns. I love whatever you want to do. Some people have done plays on their group letter. My favorite from last semester was C's Get Degrees. And so whatever it's pretty open to how you want to name yourself. Just make sure that you're being respectful and not accidentally stigmatizing mental health issues. So you'll find each module, so the discussion posts are numbered by module. So you can kind of go in order. Let me show you how it looks when you click on something different. So here I'm going to click on a tutorial. So discussion boards, it's probably easiest just to navigate through the discussion board link. But everything else, you can come in and see what you're supposed to do. So this one, I would say it's out of 10. I need to fix that. So each one is going to tell you what you need to do. Typically there's a rubric. For small assignments like this, there may not be. You get to peek behind the curtain and see how I create the assignments, because if I don't do it right now, I don't trust myself to remember. But this is one of the things that I changed this semester. So this one. Yeah, so now it'll say how many points it's out of. So again, if the points here don't match what's written up here, I would love it for you to take a screenshot and send it to me so that I know. Most assignments have a rubric, and you can see how it runs. This one, honestly, I typically just give full credit, but there is still a rubric there. For more intense writing assignments, the rubric is really important. So we're going to do 2 different tutorials through the library, one now and one in a few modules. For this one, do put effort into your responses, because your quiz, you get some points for your quiz answers here in the tutorial. So I'll contact the library to get that information. and you'll get some points for writing 2 or 3 main ideas, kind of things that stood out to you. Sometimes I had originally had like high goals of linking to individual videos. That didn't work out so well. I did typically link to individual templates, I think. The video link just takes you to, typically takes you to a big playlist, but you can find the video you need on there. And I do write out the title of the video that you would look for that would help you with this. Yeah, so those are, so when you look for assignments, there's 2 ways to find them. All assignments, so there's the discussion board and the quizzes, and then everything else is linked under either literature review, which is the first 2/3 of the course, or research proposal, which is the second sort of portion of the course. So you can find all of these assignments will be linked under the modules as well. So again, that's where it gets a little confusing at first, because it can get trippy when you say like, oh, I don't remember finding this the same way last time. So here's an APA quiz, but then also if you know what you're looking for, like if you know I need to take quiz 3, you can just click APA quizzes and it'll be right there. So you could go through it this way or through just clicking. All of the quizzes can be taken as many times as you want. You can look at the answers and take them. I do recommend completing them by the due dates. I will sometimes take them late. You can always check with me, but it's best to do them by the due date. A few of them do have questions that I have to grade manually, so essay questions, but if they're multiple choice, you should be able to see the response right away. If you don't, it's probably because it's late and I have to manually approve it. There's more resources down here. Many of them are things that are linked in a couple places. I use Google Drive heavily for this. Again, I really like it because I can update it as I tweak things. This is just another link to the same video playlist, although it may or may not be as updated as it should be. Going through the weekly modules, the individual playlist is probably your safest bet. You can also, if you do this video playlist, and I may actually change this to just link to my channel, my Caldwell channel, step-by-step guide. I actually don't even, oh, I made this into a Google Doc. So it's the same thing that's in the Google Doc. Templates and examples, these are links. It's just a little more broken down what each thing is, but it's already here in the Google folder, which has been reorganized a bit. Online writing resources. So if at all possible, I really recommend, oh, that's Tutoring, which is different. So these are just some links to different things that may be helpful. Purdue OWL is pretty helpful. We use a lot of APA style blog and their academic writer tutorials. So there's a lot of online things that can help you. Bonus opportunities, there's a couple things I'll take. So APA workbook, this one is a little outdated because it's really hard to, it's out of print now for the old, and it's the old edition, which is going to teach you some of the wrong things. I will still take it if you want to track one down and do it, but honestly, it's not a great option right now. If you really want something similar, you can reach out to me and we can talk about it. The next one is the easiest and most, or not the easiest, it's it's more clear and a bit more flexible. So this is to work on grammar stuff, and what I would want you to do for this class is to complete at least 95% total completion of the grammar course in Khan Academy. Make sure you log in when you do everything so it tracks your work. And reach out to me to connect, to make sure you're doing the right thing, etc., etc. If you find other workbooks or other online courses you would like to take instead, send me information on them, see what I think, and if I approve it, go for it. The easiest one, and this one is, actually I'm going to move it up because let's make this arranged better. So every semester I do just a student information. You can see I haven't updated it from fall yet. But this is really just kind of my chance to get to know a little bit about who my students are It's also particularly at the end or near the end. Oh, let me see, there's a few. If you have a nickname or a chosen name that you'd rather be called, please put it here. And yeah, I have pronouns down here. And I will work really, really, really hard to follow those. So I'm just clicking random things right now so that I can go forward and show you. So there's a couple places you can give me really important information. One is what's going to be most challenging for you. And then another is I want Dr. Parikh to know. This is a place for you to tell me anything you want me to know about you. If it's something fairly small, I might not follow up on it. But if you disclose something that is going to really affect the way we interact for the semester, if you disclose some really big fears about the course, I will almost always follow up within a day or two after I see it, which might be a few days to a week after you enter it. But when I see it, I will follow up and reach out and see. You can also use this as a time to just email me proactively and say, I have concerns about X. If you want to start the conversation as quickly as possible. And then hopefully this will be off after this semester, after this coming semester, but just kind of a, how do you think the pandemic is going to affect your ability to be you within this class? And you could even, I don't care what you put. I want you to put something. I want to make sure you've read this, and you could say, you could even just do NA. If you don't want to get into it or you don't think it's going to affect you, just not applicable. And that's fine. So those are bonus opportunities, and then online tutoring. So there's two main places to go to for tutoring, which is required for the course. You have to go to tutoring twice to the two writing centers. One is our writing center. You will, let's see if this link still works because the website updated and I haven't checked it. Yes, it does. So you go into Cougar Apps and then choose Cougar Link. Make sure you choose the Writing Center instead of the Academic Success Center or whatever. If you're choosing like psych classes and you don't see PS 213, that's a good sign that you're in the wrong place. The other way to go for tutoring is Smart Thinking, which is available. It's fully online. It's designed to be online. I don't know if it's quite as powerful as doing the Writing Center tutoring, but I've heard students say really good things about it. So I think it's partly your preference and how limited your schedule is. Other resources, and I may add to these over time, counseling resources. If things ever feel overwhelming, you can always reach out to the counseling center. Jennings Library, we use them quite a bit. Their chat is amazing. They have a lot of different sources that are helpful. And we use several of their sources, including their tutorials. And then there's also Blackboard Help. Some of these are put together. So some of this is just stock stuff that the online education has. Some of these are things that I've put together myself. It's like the APA quizzes can be really hard to figure out. So I put together, let's see, I think this one is, I don't know if this one is mine or someone else's, but this one is definitely mine that I created because students had so much trouble figuring out how to do this. This one's mine. This one's mine. I don't think this one's mine. Yeah, because I was still in school then. So some of these I've created to help, just to help students navigate. And that is Blackboard. The easiest way to find assignments, honestly, I forgot to mention this, but if you go to the calendar, you can click, and I can't because I'm in an instructor view. It wants to let me edit. But from your view, you can click on an assignment and just go right there. I honestly think that's the easiest way to find anything. But again, set aside another, hopefully you've been poking around while this video has been playing. But either way, set aside 5, 10, 20 minutes, poke around, and you'll be an expert. Thanks. Bye.